Welcome to the Performance and Risk Assessment Community Practice Annual Technical Exchange Meeting. This is the fifth year after we kind of regrouped and expanded to include not only the DOE regulated activities, but also circular RCRA activities that EPA and other agencies have lead role on. And I chair this group with many of you supporting. So I'd like just to go over for some of the new folks who are joining us for the first time, what this group does, and hopefully to give you a little bit flavor of the focus. And then we'll have our keynote speaker in between. We'll have our host, talk to us for a few minutes. As many of you are, involved daily, we all support the cleanup effort that the DOE is responsible for across the country. It's a huge program, $7 billion a year, a treasure is poured into the effort. And performance and risk assessment, which is the subject of this discussion, plays an important role in that, in supporting all kinds of environmental management decisions that are regulated under circular RCRA, NEPA, 10 CFR 61, our own DOE Order 435, and NDAA Section 3116. So over the last few years, starting in 2009, this group has really gelled together to support the promotion of best practices in this area that support waste fund development and implementation, closure of liquid tank waste, in situ D&D, soil and groundwater remediation, and many site closure activities. And the goal, goes without saying, is to support the overall goal to clean up the site, and that is protective of human health and the environment. So, as alluded to briefly earlier, so this group, which is all of you, aims to promote technical changes and also develop best practices in conducting performance and assessment and risk analysis of various forms that are used to support decision-making in all those areas that we talked about. A brief history: the group was formed formally in 2009 with the first kickoff meeting in Salt Lake City. At that time, it was really focused on DOE self-regulated DOE Order 435 governed activities. Actually, that first meeting was focused on the performance of engineered barriers mostly. In 2013, we recognized what we do in the DOE cleanup program is a lot broader than DOE's 435 activities. So we did expand the activities to talk about risk analysis that are conducted under circular RCRA, NEPA, and so on and so forth. And it's a self-directing organization, but with heavy participation from all over. So listed here are the few organizations that play an active role in the group's activities. But the group is a lot broader just than the few names shown here, including DOE, EPA, NRC, our regulators from Washington State and Kentucky, and also informally, Tennessee lately, as well as our contract organizations, universities we work with, and it goes without saying, our work also supported big time by our national labs. Just to show you who are supporting or leading this activity, I should say, a few names that are familiar to you. I'm not going to go over them one by one, but as you have already done, those are the people you can bring your questions, comments to if you can't get hold of me. And we work very closely together in trying to establish the program. So thanks to them all for the tireless effort that they put on a volunteer basis in the last few years. What we have done so far in the last few years, we engage with you and all through, WebEx and other means in various activities, including notionally quarterly webinars on various topics, starting from the use of graded approach to the FAPS analysis, and a defense for cover performance and stakeholder involved, formalized decision analysis. So we have gone through a lot of discussions over the various topics in the last few years. And also, we have this kind of face-to-face exchanges, for the last few years, including 8 of them, eight formal, face-to-face meetings. Again, on various themes, with very good attendance. Both the webinars and this meetings is well received. And what we're aiming for, based on all the discussions, is to inform you all about the best technologies available and also best practices that you all have conducted, and to try to formalize this and also make the products useful to practitioners like you who do this daily. So starting last year with the DOE management support, financial support, we have just started compiling the so-called position papers, which is meant to be a set of documents that capture the group discussions consensus from this forum and the webinars. And so starting last year, we have selected 3 topics that range from management of the uncertainties, making decisions in light of the uncertainties, and also scaling of various parameters, particularly for conducting site-scale performance assessments, and also, as many of you are very interested, how to take credit for performance of engineered barriers that is a key component of our disposal facilities. And they are in progress. The first 2 actually have been drafted and is under a steering committee internal review. And we expect them to be available actually for all of you to review and comment in the early spring timeframe. And the last one is headed by Craig Benson, who is a very busy guy, who's also serving as the Dean of University of Virginia's Engineering School and doing many things on top of that administrative duty that he has. So he's a little bit behind, but he's also trying to finalize that draft. And hopefully we'll see that coming up in the near term. And we are doing a lot more than you perhaps are aware of. Just for your awareness, we are also reaching out to other groups that that tend to also promote technical changes or also best practices in this area. So in particular, as some of you are aware, we have been sharing your message with the much larger group of the stakeholders in the Waste Management Symposium in the last few years, actually starting in 2014. And also we have participated with the federal agency group called Eastman, formerly called Eastman, Interagency Steering Committee for Multimedia Environmental Modeling. Now it's called ICEMM, or Eastman, Interagency Cooperative for Environmental Modeling and Monitoring. The name change reflects the recognition that it's not only modeling, but also the integration between the modeling tool sets and the monitoring data that you collect from your observation sites, best to inform the decisions. So we have exchanged that information, the information with that group, starting in actually 2014 as well. And lately, in the last 3 years, several of you sitting in the audience, actually playing the steering committee, Paul Black in particular, and I, and Mike Truex, by the way, also affiliated with the IEA program. We have been delivering your message or sharing your information with the Modera 2 program, Paul and I work in Working Group 1 that focus on risk-informed decision with stakeholder engagement as well. So this week, just very briefly, we'll hear the keynote speech from Mike Budney, the site manager on site, to talk about the priorities for the DOE cleanup program. And then we'll have several sessions following that, starting later this morning, focusing on end state and site closure in the first session, recognizing the recent focus of this administration on this type of activities. And also, we'll share with you some of the new developments in developing tool sets and methodologies. And then tomorrow morning, we'll actually expand the program a little bit to talk about some of the new activities, including the atmospheric transport modeling after the PFP, plutonium finishing plant incident that happened last year, and also hear from the EPA program about their large-scale emergency response characterization effort. So after that, then we'll actually talk about the core activities that we all do, or you all do, and hear the updates on the program and projects across the complex. And toward the end of the day, we'll have an open forum discussion between all of you, and that will wrap up the formal meetings at the end of tomorrow. But on the third day, on Thursday, some of you have signed up to take advantage of being here and take a look of the disposal and cleanup activities that are taking place at the Savannah River site. With that, I will welcome our host. We'll start with you over here, right?
Actually, yeah. Tom would be.
Okay, Tom, okay. Well, hear from the president of SRR, Savannah Remediation Contractor, Mr. Tom Foster, president of the company, Tom Foster.
Thanks, Ming. Appreciate that. So thanks for coming. I got a chance to meet a few of you guys earlier as we were mingling, and I understand that we got people from all over the country here, which is fantastic. Welcome to South Carolina. We like to think we're a friendly state, so I hope you are welcome and enjoy your stay here over the next few days. Towards the end of the week, we've got a tour out at the Savannah River site of some of the facilities, in particular the high-level waste and remediation facilities that Savannah River Remediation runs, and I think also the solid waste facilities. So if you're here for Thursday and you haven't got a chance to come out to the site, and particularly if you haven't worked on a DOE site, you might want to come and see that. We had an opportunity to tour the CEO of the Nuclear Energy Institute just last week, Maria Korsnak, and one of her takeaways was how big the place was. And again, now if you spent time at a lot of the DOE sites in Idaho and Hanford and somewhat, that won't necessarily shock you. But if you haven't been out there, it'd be a good opportunity. So take advantage of that while you're here. So we at Savannah River Remediation are responsible for the executing the liquid waste mission on behalf of the Department of Energy. And the liquid waste mission is basically to take the waste that's in the high-level tanks, the legacy waste that's left over from the Cold War, and some actually still being generated, and put that in a safe and stable form. That's simply said. It's a little more complicated than that when you get right down into practice. But we're busily out there making the salt solutions and the sludge slurries and taking that and extracting out the high-level components and making glass out of it, taking the decontaminated portions of that and making grout out of it, and emptying the tanks, grouting those tanks. There is a lot of work. It's a big effort. We've been at it for a number of years. We still have a number of years to go. We think we're making great progress. We started with 51 tanks. We've closed 8. That's good. Still have 43 to go. But that progress has been made really in a partnership with many, many entities. Certainly starting with the Department of Energy, our client, who's set the goal and the bar and what we need to be doing, working with South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control, who's a very firm regulator but a fair regulator. They're looking to make progress, which is excellent. And so we've been working in conjunction with them. Key partner is the Savannah River National Laboratory, which helps us move along in terms of all the technology and understanding of our flow sheets and the modeling and so forth, and the chemistry involved. Some of the glass making can get pretty complicated. And we get participation from a number of other entities. I know Vanderbilt helps us with glass. Savannah River Ecology Lab helps us with the grout formulations. There's a whole bunch of collaborations that go on to make that happen. We got a letter, I think 2 years ago, from the then Governor Nikki Haley of South Carolina, and she made the statement in the letter that the high-level waste at the tanks at the Savannah River site pose the greatest environmental threat to the state of South Carolina. And that's quite a statement. It's somewhat sobering, knowing that we are responsible for that collectively to try to remediate it, but I think it's true. It also inspires us because it becomes a noble mission, right? We have a grand purpose in what we're trying to do. It isn't just a minor effect. It's something that is going to affect generations to come, and so that keeps us busy in what we're doing. Having done that, though, we know as we're working through all that, and we're making the grout, and we're making the glass, and we're closing the tanks. When we talk to our stakeholders, they ask us a very simple question. Maybe has a complicated answer, but it's a very simple question. That is simply, is it good enough? So the is it good enough is a very simple way of asking the question that Ming showed with the requirements from CERCLA and RCRA and NDAA and all the other, and it becomes a very complicated set of requirements that we're trying to comply with. But simply put, the question is what we're doing, is it good enough to protect the future generations? People want to know, are we protecting their grandchildren? So it becomes very personal and it's real. And that's where you guys come in. And that's why I really appreciate you guys being here, because the only way we can answer that question is through all the work that you guys are doing and be able to speak with clarity and confidence at the end of the day and say, yes, what we're doing makes sense. It's going to protect the environment. It's going to protect the future generations. We know that the stabilized forms are putting things in, and the way we're protecting it is going to be good enough. And it's because of the work that you guys do. So I appreciate you guys coming together this week. Thanks for your help, and hope you get the chance to come out to the site. Thank you.
Tom, so next we'd like to invite Dr. Vahid Majid, who's the newly appointed director of the Savannah River National Lab, to give you a few remarks.
Good morning, everybody. No, I'm expecting a little bit better feedback here. This is going to be a tough day for you if you're not going to be with me. Good morning, everybody. All right. Yeah. This is an amazing group of people, and I'm a little bit ashamed to say I've just recently learned about you and the work that you do. But what I did learn is absolutely amazing. The work that you do, the modeling that you have done, have resulted in tremendous amount of saving in the way we think of waste disposition and how we have taken care of some of the real waste that we have dealt with thus far. So keep up what you're doing, because what you're doing is very important from two facts. Number one, it'll help us take care of the waste in a safe and secure way. Also, it helps us minimize the impact to the taxpayers. So thank you for your work. I'm going to be brief because actually I'm more interested in hearing what Mike has to say rather than me telling you, welcome to Savannah River site. Savannah River site is very unique amongst the DOE complex sites. We are 310 square miles of space under Department of Energy EM management. We have Department of Energy representation at the same site. While we have EM as our landlord, we also have NNSA present. So this is a site that actively produces material as we are working toward disposition and decommissioning many of the EM missions. So there is a sunset associated with that. So it's a juxtaposition of working hard to closing down and working hard to maintaining capabilities and needing the national need for nuclear deterrence. So all of that is happening here, and hopefully you'll enjoy the variety of things you'll see during your tour. Enjoy the tour. Every time I go for a drive around the site, I'm amazed at the complexity and the magnitude of the work that's done here. And not to take away from any of the other DOE sites, again, this site is very near and dear to my heart. I've been at other DOE sites. The type of works we do here, it really brings the entire breadth of DOE expertise into a singular site. So enjoy your 2 or 3 day meeting, enjoy the tour, and for God's sake, bring more productive work so we can cut cost at the end of the disposition. Thank you.